everyone. Welcome to another episode of Product Management Interview Experience. I am Sugat, currently working as a PM at Meta, and today we have Karthik, who has recently joined Tide as an APM. Welcome, Karthik.
Hello everyone. Thank you, Sugat. Thank you for having me.
Perfect. So, folks, I think the time is really difficult for all of us, right? We have been hearing news of layoffs each and every day, but amid all those things, there are few companies who are still hiring for the PM roles. And yeah, I think in this today's video, we're gonna hear a lot about Karthik's experience, who is a fresher or who has very minimal experience in product and how did he got into product management and amid all these difficult challenges. So stay tuned till the end of the video, and we're gonna have a great insight on the entire journey of Karthik. So yeah, let's get started. Karthik, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Sure. Hello everyone. So I'm Karthik and I've been working as an APM at Tide. So I will just discuss about my journey, how I landed up at Tide. So I graduated as a computer science engineer from Manipal University in 2021. So while uh, studying as a computer science engineer, so I worked as a data engineer intern at Newdesic. It's a IT-based consulting firm.
Mhm.
But back during engineering, I had the passion for payment. So I had the dream to work for a payment gateway while learning SQL databases and all. So that is where I got across the Razorpay opening as a for product analyst. So back then, I don't know nothing about product management. Even I don't even know that there is a domain exists such as a product management. So I got to know about product management through RCAs, through product design, and it really intrigued me to get into product management. So this is where my interest lies in, right? So we can build a product, we can enhance a product, making sure that users use them or making sure that we build the right futures. So everything was interesting. So that is where I started my journey to product management through product analytics. So when I joined as a product analyst in Razorpay, I got the chance to work with user experience team where I had worked with the growth charter, risk charter, and user engagement charter. So that was a very interesting ride over there, where I worked on different product features, shipping them after feedback, interviewing the users, understand the cycle RCAs. So that is where I got to know the basics or nuances of product management while working with the different product managers. So I work with around 6 product managers. Very cool and interesting product managers where we got to learn a lot of insights from them. So then I decided in 2022 that uh, giving recommendations is really good. Uh, digging out the data, giving the recommendations is really good. But what if we have a chance to ship them through our own hands, right? So that is when I decided to move into core product management rather than being as a catalyst to product manager over there.
Right.
So I started getting into communities, product communities. Parallelly, I started giving interviews. So that is where I ended up in Tide. So fortunately, in Tide also, I have the opportunity to work with the growth team in itself.
So sounds interesting, Karthik. I think this has been a really good journey. But before we go further, right, can you help us understand what is Tide, the company, and something about it?
Yeah, sure. So Tide is a UK-based fintech. It's a very growing startup where the main vision of the Tide is to simplify business banking, right? So we target freelancers, small-scale businesses where they don't have to maintain a finance admin or business admin to make sure that this is where you're transacting, tax filing, payouts, and making sure of the whatever the integrations the business use, right, in terms of finances, collaborate them into one platform. So we help them simplify the processes and save time so that they can do what they love. That's what we believe in. So we make sure that we simplify the process for business and save time for them. We have different kinds of products like expense cards, payouts, invoices, tax filing, and with different integrations, we bring all of the features or whatever the payments ecosystem they have into one place. That's what ties this. In expense cards, we do is majorly categorization of your payments, expenses, right? So yeah, that's what ties is.
Hey, great to know about you, and thanks a lot for sharing your journey and about the tide. So, very excited to learn about your, experience of breaking into product management. So, we'd love to hear from you. What were the challenges that you faced, and even, how was your razor pay experience helping to getting into tide?
Yeah, sure. So when I started as an analyst and moved into analytical specialist over the year, so I've my experience was more into analytics space. So I worked with people, I talked to many people through networking. I got to know. In fact, I made a lot of mistakes in my resumes and lost many opportunities. But eventually, I landed to product management with initially my background. Yes, recipe as a brand helped me, but it doesn't have to be always a brand, right? It can help as a work as well. So I worked with the growth team, risk team, and user engagement team. So instead of putting my achievements in terms of analytics, like these are the actionable insights, like this is what the movement was, I instead kept the wordings or keywords into product kind of things, like using product management keywords like I convinced my stakeholders. I did cross-function collaboration and got down the requirements. I interviewed the users out of user obsession. I showed the empathy towards users. I showed the empathy towards stakeholders. I drove this thing. I led these features and all. So that is where after sharing, editing my resume from analytics space to product management space, that is where I got more shortlists. So understand we doesn't have to keep all the keywords, but the keywords which are relevant to my profile or achievements, instead of making more analytics profile, I made it sure it's more of a product management profile. So that is where I used my background. And if there is any opportunity that is relevant to my background of my past experience at Recipe, like growth team or user engagement team, uh, I leverage it to the fullest. I pitch it to the hiring manager, stakeholder that this is where I have done in the past and would love to continue in the future as well, right? So I leverage my background in similar way. And finding a product community or a uh, person, right? So basically, I mean, I'm not promoting anything, but yeah. So what worked for me? I'm just sharing my experience. What worked for me, right? So I started with the next leap, understood what product management nuances in terms of dealing things, taking it further, scaling up things, and product folks to network, leverage my more network. And end of the day, I did not get a chance to use their interviews experiences, or let's say they help in giving interviews as well, right? Landing into companies, into right? But I did not get a chance to use them because I have to do more assignments and all. But I did not have much time. So I leverage this community and use it in my learnings. And my roommate is also an APM, so I used to discuss the product cases with them. So there's a lot of productive discussions going over there. So if you find a buddy where we can discuss our interview experiences or product cases or RCAs. In terms of daily articles or in terms of new assignments as well, that's really interesting. So coming to the other point, cold emails and messages. Right from Razorpay, I improved my network. I try to engage with my LinkedIn network. And again, so emailing them my key achievements at Razorpay, what are my aspirations are, making sure it's short and crisp. And I started pinging hiring managers through LinkedIn, through email. So it really helped me to go through. Some people even appreciated that instead of directly sending a connection request, if we add a note that we know, right? So that's really helpful. So again, resume, like I mentioned earlier, transforming my resume from analytics profile to product management profile took a lot of drafts. But changing a resume, making sure that we show the impact, making sure that we lead the things, making sure that whatever the work we have done is communicated in a short and crisp manner that even a hiring manager or even a 10th class kid can understand. That would be really helpful for hiring managers to shortlist. And assignment. So out of 100% of the companies I applied, 98% of the companies gave me assignment. So, uh, yeah, as a fresher, there could be some aptitude test or something sort of, but from my experience, many companies are giving assignments these days, so that if you give an assignment, out of 100 interested people, they shortlist, at least 80 people will go down. So I mean 20 people will drop off. So that is one of the case. And again, they will, instead of spending their own time from the stakeholders, right, they would be able to gauge their experience or thinking process in the assignment. So working through assignments without taking anyone's help in a iterative process, that's really helpful. And one point I want to share with the community is, if we should shortlist our companies, making sure that we have sufficient time. For example, Dream11 was my dream company, similar to Razorpay for my product analytics. I spent around 10 days for an assignment, and I drafted a detailed PPT going from 0 to 1, calling out everything from product design aspects, everything. But end of the day, in the third round of the Dream11, I did not clear out. But so it really hit at me hard. So again, I had to take 10 days gap. So again, right? So when I started applying random companies, everyone started doing assignments, right? So it kills a lot of our time. So make sure that these are the profile of companies you want to apply. These are the type of sector of companies, or let's say domain companies, or these are the funding companies you should apply. Making sure that you grow network in that way, and you will able to give you quality time for the assignments. And yeah, in terms of interviews, I used to document everything, feedback from the interviews. I used to talk with the people what went wrong. If I have any genuine effort for the interview and I do not go in expected manner, I used to contact the hiring manager that what could have been done better, what did I miss, right? So documenting every interview experience could help. Yes, yes, okay.
So, Karthik, great point, and I agree to all of it. A couple of great things to call out, which you did, is definitely first was you're crafting your resume from analytics to product management, right? So, product management is so versatile, and there's so many overlapping roles and responsibilities that you work in any domain or designation. I think you would find some relevant uh, uh, jobs or roles around PM. So, kudos on that part. I think second thing, other things which you also mentioned is having that buddy, right? Even at this stage,
Mm.
I have my product buddies with whom I go and discuss on a weekly basis about work stuff, interviews. So it keeps you connected to the ecosystem and things. So that's very important. And on also on the other fronts which you mentioned about finding the right communities, networking, and cold reach out, right? Instead of simply going apply, 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 you took a more personalized approach where you tried adding a note to while sending a connection. So those things actually, are few of the great things needed to be done by any product aspirant at this particular time.
Yeah, yeah, true.
Perfect. And in terms of Karthik, like what I've suggested or have seen people that internal transfers are best way of landing into product roles as compared to finding a role outside. So did you explore any roles within Razorpay before applying outside like Dream11 or Tide?
Sure. So yeah, Razorpay is having a great product ecosystem, right? So Razorpay is build have been building a great products and focusing on the user experiences, right? Yes, I have good contacts at Razorpay, and while working with them, I reached out to associate director of products that, hey, I'm interested in your product domain. So if you could help me by opening an APM opening, with an APM opening in your charter, right? I would love to explore. I would love to interview. If you're convinced, you can take me, or else it's still fine, right? There were two associate directors who were really interested, but unfortunately, due to the hiring freeze at Razorpay, even internal job shifting was quite tough at Razorpay. And even they suggested that if you come back after 5 months, either you stay at Razorpay, continue staying at Razorpay, or go and explore other product, get hands-on with the product domain while dealing with the products, leading the futures, and then come back. That would be really helpful for you as well. You can, instead of an APM, you can start as a PM1 could as well. right? So the circumstances are such that they could not open an APM profile, but there were analytics teams also was also flexible to diversify my bandwidth. So yeah, you can give 90% or 80% to analytics, and instead of switching out of resume, you can give your 20% of your work bandwidth to product as well by writing PRDs and all. Yes, I explored that part, but more or less, the still 80% I want to have complete hands-on with the product management. So that is why I decided to move out of SAP.
No, valid point. I think hiring freezes are there in most of the companies, and it's very difficult to find that suitable role. Now, that brings me to my next question, right? And amid all this hiring freezes and tech layoffs, how difficult was it for you to find another suitable product role? Can you share some experience around that?
Sure. So I started in around August or September of 2022 to start looking out for APM profiles, right? So when I started looking out for APM, yes, companies have been laying off, and there was an anxiety in amid layoffs. What if the company I go to could lay off me in future? So what would be the circumstances then? Leaving a brand like Resume could end up me nowhere, right? So yeah, then I started shortlisting my companies, the companies I could reach out to in a very criteria manner. So in terms of funding, the funding investors, or let's say the domain itself, I try to avoid personally tech or quite risky categories where layoffs are happening. And the third one is investors. I mean, in terms of profitable, is a business really profitable, or the losses are really high that they could be a chance of layoff. I talk to in couple of companies. I talk to internal people or employees that is there any what are the founders saying about the layoffs? Right, in town halls, people question about layoffs. So what is the founders' opinion about that? Yes, I did my research to every company applied since then. Initially, 2 to 3 months, I have been applying to a lot of companies, but after amid layoffs, I started shortlisting my companies. Yes, instead of 100 opportunities, will come down to 20 to 30 opportunities, but still, we can spend a quality time, and without anxiety, we can give more to the interview.
These are some great tips again, Karthik, and thanks a lot for sharing those criteria and experiences. And let's move on to the final bit, right? The most important part of your entire interview experience at Tide, starting from how did you reach out to the recruiter or how did you land into that interview call? What were the various rounds, timeline, the kind of questions? So we'd love to hear as much as detail as possible about your entire interview experience at Tide.
Sure. Uh, So I got to know about Tide through LinkedIn jobs, and while going through LinkedIn jobs, the description of job description was very good and very relevant that I could understand who could be the hiring manager, which team I would be applying to. So I reached out to hiring manager, and that's where the HR reached out to me. So if we are lucky, if we find the hiring manager, then the percentage of shortlisting is really good. So then hiring manager or HR reached out to me. That was a screening round. So they tried to understand why did you apply for Tide? What's your interest in the Tide? What is your past experience, and what PM soft skills did you showcase there, right? So in terms of stakeholder management, handling pressure, user empathy, or stakeholder empathy as well, and especially the collaboration. How did you collaborate? How did you bring the nuances, or let's say the lot of things, and simplify the process for the engineers? So many people think that if we get the screening call from HR, there are high chances for the round one. But I had the bad experience at a couple of companies. After listening to your experiences, if that doesn't match to your profile, they might not shortlist later. So fortunately, my profile got shortlisted to round one. Here I had the call with the senior product manager over there, where we had a very good discussion about my resume, what did I do, what could have been done if I go back to the same timeline, what could have been done better, what would I do differently? Again, product thinking. So in terms of product, how did you approach this? Right. Again, in terms of day as a PM, what do you expect as a day as a PM, right? Not in terms of fancy ways, but are you to the ground and understanding what does product manager does exactly? Because There are scenarios where we have different expectations, and after landing into profile, we handle things differently, right? So a lot of discussions went around product thinking. They gave a problem statement and how did I approach and how can I do it further. So we had discussion around that in terms of yes RCA as well. So this was the round one with SPM. So RCAs are around like typical metric questions. What if they go wrong? How would you approach, right? So coming after I got to know the news about it was shortlisted further. Then HR sent me the assignment. So it after dealing with 10 to 15 assignments, I did not fret about it. So I started with the assignment. So basically, the assignment was about build your own fashion e-commerce, or let's say some e-commerce platform from scratch, 0 to 1. Right. So how will you approach it? What metrics will you consider? How will you further build a roadmap, or how will you plan it? Right. So the assignment was around that. It's quite detailed. Some assignments asked about wireframes as well. Here, wireframes were optional in this assignment. Yeah, I shared my insights. How would I draft my user personas? Why do I want it? Vision aligning to that. So drafted the whole detailed assignments and shared with the team. And after shortlisting this assignment from the senior product manager, was shortlisted for the round three. That was a final round with the hiring manager, and this is where almost 20% or at least 10 to 20% drop-offs conversion was there. So here is where we had a detailed discussion for 1.5 hours, where we again we started with the resume. We discussed about the assignment and technical aspects. So going through the aspects what we discussed in detail. So in resume again the same questions. Why did you approach in this manner? What could have making these all the questions about the resume are making sure that are you just seeing through your eyes and just writing that this is what you contributed, so just faking it, or did you handle it with your hands on, right? So they tested that in a lot with a lot of questions. Again, discussing assignment. Why did you pick this as a priority to ship? How did you prioritize it? Why do you want to ship this? What will you gain impact? So in terms of your product thinking, in terms of stakeholder management, so what if the leadership come and ask that this is not you should build something different. What would you how will you handle that situation? Right. So the assignment we discussed about it. So coming to technical questions, it was quite mild, but more or less focusing on how will you share your requirements to the engineers. So you have the requirement that you should build this product, or you saw encountered this bug, or you saw a backlog that you should build something in future. How will you raise the acceptance criteria? How will you write the user personas to the engineers? How will you explain them better? How will you take the requirements from the operations team or stakeholders to the engineering, right? So it was tested in the detail, quite detailed that how will you draft architecture, sort of. It doesn't have to be very detailed, but at least quite some understanding would do. So after that, I got news that I was shortlisted, and the discussion was with HR regarding the offer.
Congratulations again on cracking the interview at Tide, and we wish you all the best. And thanks a lot for sharing all the tips and tricks. How you were able to find Tide and convert those rounds. So really appreciate it, and thank you again for being part of the channel. So yeah,
Thank you so much for this opportunity, Sugat. Really means a lot.
perfect. And folks, please like, share, and subscribe the channel if you found this valuable. And I promise to bring more such amazing contents. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.